Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast presented by Six Pack Coverage Media Network. Shout out to our friends at Six Pack. Check them out if you have not already. I'm your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you know the drill by now. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're going to do a little week 15 recap here to start things off, and then we'll go game by game, break down everything you need to know to lock in valuable bets for week 16 in the NFL, and then we'll close the show with our long shots, best bets, and the chalk donkey parlay. Rue, how was week 15 for you in the NFL?
Man, we're rolling. Another great week. Started a little rough on Thursday. I was on the Chargers, and it always sucks losing when you're on the underdog and they take it to overtime. But after that, huge bounce back on Sunday and a solid Monday and Tuesday night.
Yeah, that Chargers loss had to be brutal. I was on the Chiefs, and I feel like the luckiest person alive. They had no business even being competitive in that game. The Chargers should have put up like 50 points. Recapping the week, our debate of the week went to you. You overtake the lead. The Steelers come away with a win.
Sir.
6-5. This one really pissed me off. I got to be honest. The Titans outgained the Steelers 318 to 168 in total yards. They had 4 turnovers. The Steelers had 4 separate drives that started in Titans territory, and they still only mustered up a pathetic 19 points and could have lost at the wire, but the Titans came up 1 yard short, even though the ref tried to give them the first down. So
I'm trying to tell you, though. That's what I was trying to tell you. There's nothing on this Titans offense, and they've been killing themselves with turnovers. Tannehill takes bad sacks. It's just you can't. I mean, at the time they were favorites. They ended up closing as underdogs, which I thought should have been the case all along. And maybe it wouldn't have the debate because I had to get my Mike Tomlin underdog in there. But yeah. So I never felt like the Steelers were out of it, even when they went down early. It was one of those things. The Steelers, and I said they've been battling back from behind all season. So that was a good one. And I
ridiculous
took back my lead in the debate.
Yes, you did. And just a quick note, no debate of the week this week. We had a couple games that we were on the fence on, but nothing that we felt super strong on. So you will hold that lead into week 17.
Yeah, I mean, we could debate today, and then tomorrow half the teams rolled out with COVID too. So it's
that's any bet, but favorite bets of the week. We both got wins here. You doubled up on your debate, doubled down there with the Steelers at +2. I actually took the Texans on the podcast. They ended up cashing out of that one, but I'm still going to give myself a win here anyway because I gave out. I said I was stuck between 4 bets: the Texans, Saints, Bengals, and Lions. All 4 teams not only covered as underdogs, they won the game outright. So,
and you still took Texans money line too, right?
I did still have the Texans money line as well. So I was still on the Texans. I just wasn't nearly as confident once Urban Meyer got fired because the main crux of my analysis was Urban Meyer's an idiot and this team hates him. So once he's gone, it kind of changed the picture a little bit.
But it didn't change the picture. So
we thought it might change the picture.
We thought it's
a better way to say it. Turns out the Jaguars are just actually that bad. Long shots of the week, Rue. I think this should count as like 3 losses. Jared primetime Cook anytime touchdown. What were you thinking when that ball hit him in the face in the end zone?
I felt like I was at the game, floating above the stadium, just watching this ball go through Jared Cook's hands. The whole play just happened in slow motion because I see Cook leak out on this little arrow route coming from the tight end spot. And I'm like, oh my God, this is for him. This play is for Jared Cook. It was a little high throw, but nothing he shouldn't have been able to handle. Yeah. And I just felt absolutely crushed. There was no reason that bet shouldn't have cashed. It was, oh my God.
What an awful way to lose a bet.
I was ready to just take an absolute victory lap on this Jared Cook primetime theory. And my God.
Ugh. Yeah, so you go to 5-9 on your long shots. I got a big win with the underdog money line parlay, Texans and Bengals at +485. If you took it later in the week, you probably got over +500 once the Urban Meyer news hit. So I got a 6-7 on my long shots. Chalk donkey parlay got a loss. That goes to 5-4 on the year. Eagles, Cowboys, Niners came home. The Cardinals could not even come close to beating the Lions. So tough loss there. Prop sheet. Another awesome week, 10-5-1 overall on the week. Myles Gaskin was the backup running back, still hit his over. Chuba Hubbard had 32 yards in the first 5 minutes of the game, and the under still came home. The only losses were, I guess we had a couple on the primetime Tuesday games, but Amari Cooper didn't come through, Devontae Adams, and then Chris Godwin, who was going to have like 200 receiving yards and got hurt in the first quarter. So, and just for anyone counting at home, we graded the Debo prop as a push because we had the under receiving yards and receptions. The receptions hit, the receiving yards did not. So depending on what you took, that's how you fared there. Just to wrap everything up here, with 3 weeks left in the regular season, here is where we stand. Prop sheet, as we just went over, 105 and 51 on the year, a 68% hit rate, up approximately 45 units. Long shots of the week with 200 plus 200 odds or higher, we are 11 and 16 combined, 41% hit rate. The break-even rate is like 30% based on our odds. So profitable there. And then our favorite bets of the week, currently 28 and 1, a 71.4% hit rate. And that doesn't even include all the other bets that we give out in our analysis, 100% for free for all our awesome listeners. So just reading those numbers gets me fired up.
And that's 20 wins, 8 losses, 1 push. Just to not 28 and 1, 20.
Yes.
20-8-1. Yeah, just clearing that up. Yeah, we
need bigger pause there.
Yes.
All right, let's do our heroes and zeros of the week, and then we'll move on to week number 16. Who you got for your hero of the week?
I'm going back to it, man. I got the Steelers defense. It's, a second half shutout, clutch turnovers, 4 sacks. They let up 200 rushing yards, but they did what they had to do. They kept them alive. And with under 150 yards of total offense, it was the defense that won them that game and helped cash our debate for me and my favorite bet of the week. So Steelers defense.
All right, for my hero of the week, I'm going with the interesting one. I'm going to go with Daniel Carlson. That's right. A kicker for the Las Vegas Raiders is my hero of the week. I ended up with an uncomfortable amount of money on the Raiders +3, and even more so on the Raiders money line due to all the Browns COVID news. The game gets postponed. My bets are still active. Half the other people's bets are canceled that I'm talking to, but I was locked into a lot of Raiders. I was not feeling super comfortable throughout that whole game, but Daniel Carlson, 3 for 3 on field goals, hits a 48-yarder as time expires. I'm running around screaming only to find out that the Browns secretly called a timeout and he has to do it all over again. And I'm thinking there's no way he's going to hit this 2 times in a row. Nails it both times in a row, cashes the Raiders money line, the +3, all of that. Daniel Carlson, my hero of the week on Tuesday night. Actually, that was Monday night. I can't even keep track anymore.
Yeah. There's just
one of those random games. Yeah. Your zero of the week is who?
My zero of the week is Brandon Staley, and all you analytics nerds, hold your ears. But, I think that analytics is a good thing in sports. I'm not going to completely discredit it, but at some point, so here's the number. Analytics say on a 4th and 1 on the goal line, if you don't get it, that field position there, giving the other team the ball on the 1 yard line is worth 1.25 points. So essentially the field goal is worth 1.75 points analytically. But at the end of the half, there's no field position.
Yes.
Take the freaking points. You have a chance to go up 7 points before giving the Chiefs the ball at halftime. And they go for it and fail for the 3rd time in the game, essentially giving away their 9 points in the game, and ultimately lose in overtime. And more importantly, lose the cover for myself and many other Chargers backers. So Brandon Staley, stop flexing your muscles and just going for it on every single 4th down. I completely agree. There's times to go for it, but it's not every single time. And then we have, just a side note, we have Bill Belichick kicking field goals to make a 2-possession game with 5 minutes left. So I don't know. There's just some backwards coaching going on here. But anyway, Brandon Staley, my zero of the week.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. The end of the half one really got me. And then he had another one where I think he went for 4th and goal from the 5. If you want to go through it from the 1, I'm totally with you. The math checks out. Once you get to the 4-yard line, the 5-yard line, it's just not a smart decision. So I'm with you. My zero of the week was the NFL for postponing 3 games and scheduling them at a later date and basically screwing up everything for absolutely no reason. The Browns got almost no one off the COVID list. The football's got a couple guys, but really, none of their quarterbacks, no one important. The Eagles actually added players at the COVID list because the game was pushed back. It was just a total mess. All the bets were a disaster. The line moves were insane. What was the point of postponing 3 games only to have almost the exact same players playing the entire time? The entire thing was just handled so poorly by Roger Goodell, which should not be a surprise to anybody. So thank you. All right. Tip of the week. You got anything?
I know you do.
I do. It was a trick question. The only tip I wanted to bring up here was just to mention the quit potential. So once you get towards the end of the season, something that you definitely want to keep an eye on is the playoff circumstances and the implications of each game before betting it. So you might see some of these big underdogs, maybe you're looking at Panthers plus 10.5 against a very injured Bucs squad. Like maybe that's still a valuable bet. It could certainly still come home, but just make sure that you're taking into account the fact that the Panthers are mathematically eliminated from the playoff race. They have nothing to play for right now. There's a decent chance that this team gets to the fourth quarter and they just don't care anymore. They think the quarterback situation's a disaster. Matt Rule kind of seems like he has no idea what he's doing at this point. So just watch out for these teams that have nothing to play for anymore. Maybe some of them are still playing hard. Maybe there's guys still playing for jobs next year. Maybe the coach has lost the locker room and it's something you really want to stay away from. I know we were talking about the Seahawks and the Bears kind of both falling into that category. Unfortunately, they're playing each other, so there's not really anything you can do to capitalize on it this week. But just make sure you know who's in it, who's out of it, and what's at stake for each game before you bet it.
Yeah, it's just the last few weeks. It's just don't be afraid to just pass on a few games. There's nothing wrong with just neither team has anything to play for. There's numbers that go into it, but there's also a human element to these games where if guys are checked out, they're checked out. So like you said, Seahawks Bears, that's just an easy pass for me this week. I really don't want to waste time digging into that one. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of that over the last 3 weeks. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah. All right, let's jump to Thursday Night Football, our first game of the week here. This one should be a fun one. San Francisco 49ers against the Tennessee Titans. Titans are 3-point home underdogs. The over-under is 44. Niners are rolling here, won 5 of their last 6 games. Titans, obviously, as we talked about, coming off a loss against the Steelers. Elijah Mitchell was ruled out for the Niners earlier today, so Jeff Wilson and Debo will handle the backfield duties, and then still a lot of question marks around the Titans wide receiving core. I would say A.J. Brown's probably unlikely to play. It sounds like they're trying to ramp him up, but it's going to be tough. And then Julio actually popped up as a full participant in practice today, even though I thought he retired in the middle of last game at this point. I don't know how many hamstring injuries one guy can sustain before it just doesn't work anymore. So I don't even know if Julio matters at this point. He can't make it through a full game. But regardless, what do you have here? Big time playoff matchup. Both these teams got a lot to play for. Do you have a bet on this one?
Well, Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold also out for the Titans as well. Lewan with a back injury, Saffold with on the COVID list. So 2 big losses on the offensive line. I took the 49ers at -3. I went up to 3.5. I think it's back down at 3 at some books. So I would take the -3. And look, the spot here points to the Titans, coming off a bad loss, short week, 49ers traveling to Tennessee. But it's just, I've talked enough of the last few weeks about this Titans team and how I just don't think they're a good team. There's nothing on their offense. San Francisco, just the opposite end of the spectrum right now. 7th overall in DVOA, top 10 in both offense and defense. Titans are bottom 10 in all 3. San Francisco's controlling the trenches on both sides of the ball, which I think is huge. They're getting to the quarterback. And now, like I said, Titans are missing a couple pieces on their offensive line. So, they ran for 200 yards last week and only scored 13 points. I don't think they're running for 200 yards this week. So Tannehill's going to, the one place 49ers are susceptible is the secondary. But, if A.J. Brown's out and Julio, when he gets hurt on the first drive, there's nothing there. So 49ers, number 1 red zone team in the league. And like I said, in our recap, the Titans have just been shooting themselves in the foot with turnovers. They're now 3rd in the league with the 3rd most turnovers. 49ers are just a much hotter, healthier, and better team right now. I'm fading the spot here, and I'm just taking a team that I think is just far superior in this matchup. So give me the 49ers -3.
I feel like this is kind of a little bit of a dead zone for me right now. I really don't have any interest at 3, 3.5, or 4. If Julio and A.J. Brown are out, maybe I'll look at the Titans if it gets up to 4.5 or something crazy. But honestly, I'm kind of hoping they play and I can get the Niners at 2.5. If it drops under a field goal, I think I'd take the Niners, but probably no play here for me unless we see some line movement that I can play back against right now.
I mean, even if A.J. Brown plays, we know Julio doesn't play more than 50% of the snaps. How much is A.J. Brown going to play on when his status is probably going to be up in the air until kickoff?
That's what I'm saying. If he plays and you get line movement based off that to get down to 2.5, I think you play back against it and take the Niners because I don't know if A.J. Brown's even healthy enough to help the team that much.
Yeah.
Props for you in this one. We do have lines on this game for most of the players up.
Yeah, Debo's at 4.5 receptions again, which I will take again. It's at the on DraftKings. It was earlier, but the
3.5 now.
Okay, so I don't hate it. He's just not getting the same pass work he was early in the season. I mean, Debo was a spot we were targeting on receptions for the over at 5.5 to start the whole season when he was hitting, but the whole offense has just shifted, and everyone knows by now he's pretty much a running back. They should be able to run the ball. Like I said, they're dominating the trenches on both sides. They're pretty much running against anyone right now. So
I think the Titans run D is actually pretty solid. I don't think they're going to run the ball because of the Niners. Like that's the base of their offense, but I don't think they're going to have a ton of success running it.
Regardless, Debo's, he's only seeing like at most 4 targets over the
last 3 weeks, 4, 1, and 2 targets.
Yeah,
like those are his last 3 games.
Exactly. So, what's the odds on the under 3.5 right now?
It is at plus 130.
All right, so that's
pretty solid plus.
Yeah, that's pretty solid plus money. I'll if another book comes with a 4.5, I was waiting because it was minus 165 for the under 4.5 earlier.
Yeah,
but wait to see where other books open up at, and I'll probably go back to that.
Okay. I wrote down, let's see, we have George Kittle receiving yards. Don't mind that. It's at 68.5. He's gone 6 for 93 and 13 for 151 over the last 2 weeks. He is essentially, as we talked about, Debo's kind of shifting more to a running back. George Kittle is the wide receiver 1. Brandon Ayuk's not super involved in this offense. It doesn't really seem like teams have an answer for Kittle recently, and Jimmy G's been giving him the targets. And then I might go back to Jimmy G under 29.5 passing attempts. This hit for us last week. I believe this line is 8-3 in games where the Niners are favored this year. Both these teams are bottom 10 in pace and neutral game script pace. So, I don't think the Niners are going to have a ton of success running the ball, but I still think they're going to run the ball. That's the base of their offense. I think it's going to be a run heavy game for both teams. Clock's constantly running. So I think there's just going to be not as many plays here, and Jimmy G probably settles into that 26-27 pass attempt range.
All right.
And I also just wanted to note, be careful betting on the Titans backfield. We were on Deontay Foreman last week. He had an awesome game, but it was also, that was more of a matchup driven play. He had only 38% of the snaps, I believe, and McNichols and Hilliard were both in that 32 to 35% range. So the Niners have a top 5 run defense in the league. If all these backs are playing somewhere between 30 and 40% of the snaps, it's going to be hard for any one of them to distinguish themselves. So I would not be chasing the Foreman performance from last week.
Yeah, I was considering his under, actually. The line was a little lower than what I wanted it to be, but
it's like 46.5 right now.
Yeah, it could easily get bet up before game time, though. So I'm going to wait that one out. If we get mid 50s, maybe I'll take the under there.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Christmas Day. Yes, 4:30 Eastern time on Christmas Day. Cleveland Browns against the Green Bay Packers. Packers are 7.5 point home favorites in Lambeau. Over under is 44.5. We're assuming the Browns are going to get some guys off the COVID list. We don't really know. Myles Garrett came out of the game last week with an injury. Haven't really heard a ton of updates on him. Kind of hard to break this one down without really knowing. I'm assuming the Browns are going to be somewhat healthy here, but you never really know. And they're not officially eliminated from the playoffs, but they would need to win out and get a ton of help from the teams above them. So it's kind of a tough spot for me. I think the Packers are good in teasers, wouldn't really touch the spread. Kind of hard to figure out what the heck's going on with this Browns team and what to expect from them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is just a great tease spot right now at 7. You can get the Packers at -1 in a teaser. So I think it's a good way to kick off some Christmas action, get the first leg of a teaser out of the way. I don't see the Packers losing this game at home.
Okay. Any prop looks for you in this game?
Yeah, I might go back to Devontae Adams. He had a down game last game, but yeah, honestly, look, he had 100 yards in 3 straight games before that. So it's Devontae Adams. If you get something mid to upper 80s, maybe you get a 5-yard discount after.
It's 91.5.
Oh, it's up. Okay. Honestly, I don't hate it. Or maybe you go with an Adams touchdown and a Packers win if you get that close to -110 instead of using him in a teaser or something along those lines. But I like targeting Adams after these bad games. I think it's rare he has 2 bad games in a row.
I think I'd prefer the touchdown. I don't know if I want to go with his yards.
That's fine.
Packers might be ahead and not really needing to throw the ball.
Are his touchdown odds up?
No, they are not.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. But if that's like I said, close to -110, I think that's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, I think you could get his touchdown on the Packers money line at like around even.
And I believe I had a friend tell me, I'll have to vet this, but that he's going for the all-time receiving record in the Packers history, if that's correct.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is this the same friend that told you which Giants quarterback was starting?
Adams is one away from being the most touchdowns.
Oh, most touchdowns.
But between two Green Bay players, that's what it is, like quarterback to receiver. They're one away for that combination. So, and Rodgers is one away from the all-time touchdown leader in Green Bay history. And they were saying it would be cool to do it on the same play. So buy into that all you want, but nothing to do with that. I like Adams to score a touchdown.
All right. Little added narrative bonus. Can't hurt. Ready to move on?
Yes.
All right. The Saturday night game. Boy, another fun one we have here. The Indianapolis Colts taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are 1 point home favorites. Over under is 49. Colts coming off a big win in primetime against the Red Hot Patriots. Cardinals obviously lost to the 1-win Detroit Lions. I actually played the Colts on the look ahead at +4.5 last week. I thought that was kind of crazy. Now that we're at basically a pick 'em here, I don't really think you can take the Colts, if I'm being honest. I think they might be the better team, but it just feels like this is a spot where if you're betting the Colts right now, you're betting them at their absolute peak in terms of how the market's rated them this season. And you're kind of selling the Cardinals at the bottom because they've been, one of the top teams in the league. And now they're basically a pick 'em at home. So I'm actually waiting to see if I can play back on the Cardinals here. If this one keeps going and I can get the Cardinals money line at plus money, I may even take that. I think there's a pretty decent chance the Cardinals have a good bounce back performance at home and just win this game. What do you have here?
I mean, to me, last week was the bounce back spot, coming off the Rams loss and they two absolute duds in a row. It's, they made us forget for a while that this was a team that played down to the Jaguars. They arguably should have lost to the Vikings, who missed a 30-yard field goal at the end of the game. They should have lost to Trey Lance in his first NFL start, and they lost to the Packers with no Devontae Adams. So, this team has kind of been
should have beat the Packers.
Yeah, there was a throw off AJ Green's helmet at the end of the game or whatever. But it's you're saying the Colts are being overvalued. I think the Cardinals may still somewhat be getting overvalued in the market because I think the Colts are hands down a better team than them right now. So for them to be underdogs, I think there's still value on the Colts. If there's if you can still get the 1.5s out there, I absolutely love teasing the Colts over a touchdown here. But, weighted DVOA, we talked about last week, it factors in more recent games. Colts are 6th in weighted DVOA, top 10 in offense and defense. Arizona's 11th overall in weighted DVOA and 18th on offense. So, we've seen it. Something's not really clicking with this offense right now. DeAndre Hopkins might have been a bigger loss to this offense than we expected. And, I don't like to weigh one game too much. Obviously, once you start doing that, you get in trouble in the market and stuff. But, to lose to Detroit without Swift, without Hawkinson, and to not be able to move the ball against that defense, to me, I think that to me carries some weight. It's just almost inexcusable. So, I'm going to wait to see what ends up happening with this line. The line itself might end up being a pass because, I probably make this Colts -1. So going -1 to +1's not a huge difference. But like I said, if you can get the Colts and teasers, I absolutely love it over at 7.5.
I think the Cardinals are going to win.
Where I don't think they're going to stop Jonathan Taylor. I mean, and it's not many teams can.
They have a solid defense. I mean, I don't think they're going to shut them down, but they have a good defense.
They're better against the pass. Their run's middle of the pack. So
at some point, some team is going to force Carson Wentz to need to throw the ball, and he's not going to be able to win a game with 5 passing attempts or whatever ridiculous.
Yeah, but he had a bad turnover last week, and they still won. That's the thing. It's like,
imagine how many turnovers he would have had if he didn't have 5 passing attempts. He could have had 4 turnovers if he threw the ball 30 times like most quarterbacks.
And the Colts defense has been playing great too. So I don't know. I think this team all around is just a much better team than the Cardinals right now, but should be a fun game.
Yes, should definitely be a good game. Do you have any looks for props on this one? We do have a couple numbers starting to get posted. Taylor's yards are 106.5 if you're interested.
Are there Zach Ertz props?
No, I believe he's questionable right now, so we are not going to get Zach Ertz props.
If Zach Ertz is in, that'll be one spot I'm looking. Colts are allowing the most passes per game to tight ends and the most yards per game to tight ends, and they're 23rd in DVOA against tight ends. So one of the worst teams defending the tight end position.
Hunter Henry had a big game last week.
Yep, there you go. So
similar player to Zach Ertz.
Receptions, yards for Ertz. We'll see where they are at if he's in.
See where they at.
See where they at.
No props for me here. Let's move on to Sunday. Detroit Lions against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are around 5.5-point home favorites. Over under is 42.5. We do have some Jared Goff COVID news. Well, at least we got some earlier in this week. So he's on the COVID list right now. No real strong indications I have heard on whether he's going to come off or it's going to be Tim Boyle or David Blau. Lions also going to be without Hawkinson, probably still going to be without Swift, and who the heck knows who else. I grabbed the Falcons here at 3.5. I would wait and see what happens with Goff. If Goff's not playing, I mean, even if Goff is playing and the line goes back down, or if Goff's not playing, you can grab it before it gets to 7. Like, I think this is a good spot for the Falcons. This is kind of what we've seen from them all season. The Falcons have won in covered against the Giants, Jets, Dolphins, Jaguars, and Panthers. That's kind of the same class of team that the Lions are in. And the Lions have only played 5 games this year where they were less than a touchdown underdog. They are 1-4 against the spread in those games. So I think, we've seen it all season. Matt Ryan, when he has time to throw, he can put up some points. I think the Falcons can take care of these lower type teams like they have all season. So yeah, I'm on the Falcons here.
Yeah, I think if you didn't get this early at 3, I think you got to pass this now because it's gotten a little out of hand with,
Well, what if it goes back down? Like, this is probably an in-between number. If it's Goff and it goes back down to 3.5, would you play the Falcons?
No, probably not.
Okay. I'd probably if it's Tim Boyle and it's 6.5, would you play the Falcons?
No, if it's Tim Boyle and it got over got it like 8.5, I'd probably take the Lions.
So you're just out on the Falcons.
You can't lay 6 points with 6 or more points with the Falcons. Like I could
Tim Boyle or David Blau.
I could maybe get behind you taking a 3.5, but even there, I would feel a little queasy. But I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not in a position to lay.
Falcons have been fine in this spot all season.
Look, this has just been one of those teams that I've avoided for a lot of this season. So
and you're missing out. That's why. Yeah. It's a very easy team to figure out. They lose to good teams and they beat bad teams. It's like so simple. They've done it all year.
Yeah, I have trust issues with the Falcons.
Have you noticed that DVOA hates the Falcons? They are ranked dead last.
They're dead last
every single week, and they're like 6 spots.
But that's why it's exactly what you said. They suck because DVOA is schedule adjusted.
DVOA is just wrong.
No, it's schedule adjusted, and when you suck against bad teams and you're good against,
the Jets suck against everybody. At least the Falcons are good against some type. If you're rating the Falcons behind the Jets, Jaguars, and Texans, you're not doing it right. At least the Falcons show up against someone.
No one's arguing it's a bulletproof stat. It's not, the first team is the best team in the league. I mean, it's one of.
I'm just saying it's wrong. It's dead wrong. It makes they're 7 points lower than the Jaguars.
It's wrong it's wrong from a perspective of who's the better team, but in DVOA perspective, it makes somewhat sense because the Jags beat the Bills.
I'm not even talking about the weighted. I'm just talking about the standard DVOA, the one that the Bills are always ranked as number one because of their cupcake schedule.
That's schedule adjusted. So the Jags, the weighted takes into account more recent games.
Okay, well they're still dead last in weighted.
Okay, Jags beating the Bills, who are a top 10 team in DVOA. That favors them big time in their DVOA rating. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not a bulletproof stat, like we said. I mean, it's a good thing to look at when looking at these games.
Bullet's going right through it.
All right.
Swiss cheese stat. That's what it is. All right. What do you have for props in this one?
I got nothing in this game.
All right. Couple ones for me here. Going to look at Russell Gage receiving yards.
Sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me?
I knew you were going to go there. It's not a good play this week.
Present your dumb counterpoint.
It's not a dumb counterpoint. Look. Here, I'll pull it up right now. Go ahead. Make your point.
Okay, so I'm going to look at Russell Gage over receiving yards in the low 60s. Ever since Russell Gage put up a giant goose egg against Dallas in week 10, he has been fantastic. 5 for 49, 6 for 62, 11 for 130, 4 for 64, and 8 for 91 last week. He is the clear alpha number 1 wide receiver on this offense. And when Matt Ryan has time to throw, he will be the number 1 target, and Matt Ryan will have time to throw against this Lions D-line. All right. What's your counterpoint?
Over those 4 games, that stretch, the 2 games where the 2 games where he went off was San Fran and Tampa Bay, where they were basically playing from behind. So that's where he had 11 and 12 targets. The other 2 games against Carolina and Jacksonville was 6 targets and 7 targets, and he was right at that low 60s number. So if you're getting a number in the low 60s in a game, you're telling me that they're going to cover a 6+ point spread. I don't think that's great value getting in low 60s. That's just my opinion on it.
It's 64 receiving yards against the Panthers. That's a way
Yeah, but
better
that's what I'm saying.
secondary.
It's right at that number.
It's also a way better secondary.
But again, 6 targets.
Stephon Gilmore compared to the Lions cornerbacks. That's what we're comparing here.
I'm just saying it's,
I get it. Yeah, look, they might not need to throw the ball 40 times. I get it. I still think you can go over.
All right.
Okay, and on the Lions side, if Goff does play Amon-Ra St. Brown, definitely going to look at his yards somewhere in the low to mid 50s. Last 3 weeks, he leads the team in targets and has at least 8 catches and 73 yards in every single game. He has been huge for them ever since Swift and Hawkinson went down. Okay. Counterpoints there?
Nope.
That's what I thought you said. All right. Moving on here on Sunday, New York Giants against Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are, let me grab the updated spread here. Did you see this game on DraftKings? The spread right now is Eagles -3.5, but it's juiced to -250.
Wait, what?
That's the spread they're listing for the Eagles Giants game. And then when you actually go in and go to the game lines, like the regular spread on the game is like 9.5. It makes no sense. So anyway, the Eagles are around the 9.5 to 10-point favorite. You could also take the alternate spread of -3.5 at -250 if you're into that sort of thing. Even the over-under, it's at 47.5, but the under is -275.
DraftKings is having a tough time right now.
Anyway, the Eagles are big favorites. We are not sure who's going to be playing at quarterback for the Giants. Ruse informant did not give us the inside information yet on whether it's going to be Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm. Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard both going to be out for the Giants. This is a rematch of Week 12 in the infamous Jalen Reagor sucks game when the Giants beat the Eagles 13-7. Do you have a play on this one?
Yeah, so I was waiting for it to get under 10. It looks like it's there, but you can't actually bet the 9.5 on DraftKings right now. So I'll have to wait for that to pop back up. Yeah, I honestly, I think this Giants team could be in contention for the worst team in the league with Glennon at quarterback right now. There's just nothing going right there right now. And, Washington covered last night against the Eagles with Gilbert at quarterback, but it was fluky.
Did it close at 10? I thought it was 9. I guess depends on what.
I thought it was 10. Okay. Regardless, they were right around it, but it was fluky. They had no business being in that game.
That was the Eagles' worst game they played like all season, and that's what it took for Washington to cover.
Yeah, so Eagles should just be able to hand the ball off all game and run away with this, and their defense has stepped up enough to where I think the Eagles can easily handle Mike Glennon and this. The only scary part is that the Giants have seemed to, their last 3 games with Glennon, they've had a chance to backdoor almost everyone. I think they haven't done it yet, but
because they're like 12-point underdogs. Of course, they have a chance to back.
This is another one.
It's not that hard to backdoor a 10-point. Like, you're always gonna be kind of in range.
This is a 10-point spread. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not expecting the Eagles to be up by 40. Like, the Eagles are probably going to be up by 17 in the fourth quarter. Like, the backdoor cover will be there. Like, it's possible. I just don't think the Giants are going to get it.
That's fine. I said I was on the Eagles. I was saying that was my only concern.
I'm just saying, like, that's to be expected when the spread is this big. Like, it's not that crazy to be within backdoor range in every game with a 14-point spread.
All I'm saying is it's a possibility.
I bet the Eagles too. We're on the same side.
Why are we arguing?
All right, we're both on the Eagles here. The Eagles as a team have now ran for 175 yards in 7 straight games. First team to do that since the 85 Bears. They're going to make it 8 here. Giants have a bottom 5 defensive line. Eagles roll. Eagles 5-1 ATS as favorites this season. Props for you.
It'll be interesting to see where Miles Sanders' yards come out.
64.5.
Over, because last game I was hesitant to take it with Jordan Howard back, but it seemed like they finally just Sanders was the clear number one. Obviously, yeah. Howard got his work. Howard's gonna get his work because they run the ball so much, but right. I'd be shocked if he's not in the mid 70s.
Yeah, Sanders only played like 49% of snaps last night, and he still got 18 carries. Exactly. Like, his workload's going to be insane. Howard will get carries, but I think Sanders is going to be – I'm fine with anything in the 60s is what I wrote down.
Yeah, 60s I would take, and I don't think you can – I mean, maybe you can target Goddard, but other than that, I don't think you can touch anything in the Eagles passing game and nothing on the Giants side for me.
And the last time, don't be scared off by the last time these two teams played. Sanders only had 64 rushing yards, but he only got 9 attempts. That was 7.1 yards per carry. He should have ran for 100 yards easy in that game. The Eagles abandoned the run for no reason in the first half and then found themselves down by 2 scores late and had to throw. So this is going to be a totally different game script. I think Sanders is going to smash.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. Another fabulous game on tap. Jaguars and the Jets. This is right about a pick 'em here with some Jets COVID news. The over-under is 41, somewhere around there. The Jets placed 15 players and head coach Robert Saleh on the COVID list today. So no real telling how many of those players are going to get back. Is there going to be more? Like, this has disaster potential written all over it when you're seeing this many guys go on the COVID list. Maybe the NFL will postpone it till Tuesday and they'll still be on the COVID list because, we love to do that. I'm all over the Jaguars here. Grabbed them at +2.5, all over their money line at +115. Don't even mind it a straight pick 'em. The handicap here is pretty simple. This is 2 bad teams. You take the one, you could take the one getting points if you're still getting the +1, or you just take the team that doesn't have 15 players on the COVID list. I think James Robinson is going to absolutely smash this game. The Jets have the worst run defense in the league, and I think that the Jaguars can just ride him to an easy victory here.
Yeah, so before the COVID news, I was waiting to see if a 3 would pop up anywhere for the Jags. But after I got the COVID news, I bought in at 2.5 and Jags money line at +120, somewhere around there. Let's talk about the line before the COVID news because Jaguars are 2.5 point underdogs here after just being 5-point favorites over the Texans last week. So someone explain that one to me. So
it's crazy.
That in and of itself, it would have, could have been enough for you to take the Jaguars, just how outrageous that was. I knew they lost to Houston, but still, you're doing that big of a swing in 1 week. It's absolutely crazy to me. So yeah, I'm on the Jags here. And like you said, at a pick 'em, if you want to buy into the Jags, I don't mind it now with the unknowns with COVID. And props wise, you said it, James Robinson, all but one running back carry last week, 18 for 75 last week. All teams have been doing is running right at this Jets team. I don't see anything different here. He could.
Duke Johnson had 107
Yes,
yards. Do you want to guess the last time Duke Johnson ran for over 100 yards before last week?
I'm gonna say at Miami.
That would be in December of 2014 against the South Carolina Gamecocks when he was with the Miami Hurricanes.
Yes.
His NFL career high in 5 years prior to last week was 78 yards in his rookie year. Like, that just tells you how bad the Jets defense is.
Yeah. So if you get Robinson was at 80 last week. I think it ended up closing at 79.5, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I think he goes,
high.
I think he could go for over 100 yards in this game. No problem.
So do I.
I don't know that you could set a number that I won't take this over at.
Yeah. Decent long shot SGP. Just do like Robinson 100 yards, a touchdown.
We'll get back
Jags
to that.
Money. Oh,
sorry for just basically saying my long shot, but
read your mind there. My bad. All right, let's go to the NFC South. Bucks and the Panthers. Panthers are 10-point underdogs. Over-under is 44. The Panthers announced they're going to be playing with some combination of Cam Newton and Sam Darnold. Both of them will get snaps, but Cam Newton will get the start. Who the heck knows what that means? It sounds like a glorified preseason strategy for the Panthers where they're going to alternate quarters or something. I don't even know. The Bucs side, I don't even know if we have enough time to go over this injury report. Chris Godwin's done for the year. Lenny Fournette's on IR. Levante David's done for the year. Mike Evans is questionable. Antonio Brown's back. Ronald Jones is probably getting the carries. I don't know what the heck's going on here. All I know is if this spread keeps dropping and it gets to Bucks -9, maybe even 9.5, I might be forced to take the Bucks here.
So you can get 10s right now. You can get flat 10.
I need it under 10.
Yeah, so it might be on its way under 10. I get it, divisional matchup. You want to take double digits with the Panthers, but it's just you can't.
I don't get it.
You just that. That's going to be a case that a lot of people make, but it's just. I mean, even with the Antonio Brown coming back in this matchup would be enough for me to offset Godwin and Evans just with how bad the Panthers quarterback situation is right now. And like you said, now we're doing a preseason strategy of
what is this going to look like with two
quarterbacks? Two quarterbacks that both suck. So
yeah, what are you even going to flip flop back? Both of them are going to be terrible.
Yeah, and the Panthers want to run the ball, but even when they say we're going to run this 30 times a game, they can't. The only one that can run is Cam Newton. So Chuba Hubbard's not doing anything. This Bucs defense is tough to run against, as we know. They may even be able to stack the box here and just completely take that away and force Cam to throw the ball. So this one to me is Bucs or pass. Maybe you could wait to see if something fluky happens and you can get a better number live, but I don't know if I'm going to take 9.5 with the Bucs, but that would be my play if I were to take anything.
I'm with you. Props for you in this one. Would you be interested in some Ronald Jones rush yards?
Yeah, he smashed last year when Fournette was out, so I don't see any reason he can't, rush for. I mean, you might get a generous line here with the unknowns. If you get something in the 50s or something, I would definitely take the over.
I was thinking like 61.5 was my guess.
I think that's a solid number too. It seems like Keyshawn Vaughn might get some of the passing work, but Jones should get upwards of 20 carries, I would think. So, especially if the Bucs are comfortably in the lead.
Yeah, Rojo was 8 for 63 last week in relief of Leonard Fournette against a very good Saints defense. The Panthers are 8th against the pass and 23rd against the run in terms of DVOA. And Devin Singletary, not a great running back, went 22 for 86 last week against this same Panthers defense. So I think Rojo could be in for a decent day unless he fumbles on the first play of the game and Brady kills him, which is certainly within the range of outcomes. So ready to move on?
Yes.
All right. Go to a game with more COVID news. The LA Chargers against the Houston Texans. Texans are 10-point underdogs. The over-under is at 46. We have a bunch of players on both sides here. Joey Bosa is going to miss the game on the Chargers side on the COVID list. Austin Eckler and their center, Corey Linsley. Also their wide receiver, Jalen Guyton, on the COVID list. For the Texans, they put Brandon Cooks. I can't remember if there was anyone else in that post, but I know Cooks is on the COVID list. So both teams clearly missing big playmakers on offense. I was actually really looking to bet the over in this game. I grabbed it on the openers at 45.5, I think. So, certainly not feeling great if Cooks and Eckler and Guyton could potentially miss. So kind of tough to do analysis without knowing who's playing, but probably no play here for me unless these guys get back in. I'll take a look at the over.
So I actually took the Chargers at -8 here. There was a discrepancy. Most books were at 9.5. I found one book that had a -8. It was on Monday. And I absolutely love the Chargers here. Even with Eckler out, Bosa out, Derwin James is looking like he could play. You might get Asante Samuel back as well. Even if one of them's out, Brandon Cooks being out is almost somewhat cancels that out. Yeah. Houston is 10th in DVOA against the pass. So if you look at that, but they're 5th most pass yards allowed, or 5th most yards per pass allowed, 5th most yards per play allowed. And they're worse against the run than the Chargers are. So, Chargers are middle of the pack against the pass on defense, awful against the run, as we know, but I don't think the Texans could run against the team if they were playing 7 guys on defense. So Chargers, even without Bosa, I think they can get pressure on Mills against a terrible offensive line. And I think Herbert, he's going to have his weapons there. He's going to have, as far as Keenan Allen on the outside and Mike Williams on the outside. I think he should be able to carve up this defense, no problem. And we've seen the Chargers take care of these inferior teams this season. So I like the Chargers at anything under 10 here.
Interesting. Okay. I get it. I don't think I would take the Texans, especially not if Cooks is out. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball too much. Would you look at Justin Jackson rushing yards in the prop game if Eckler misses? He had 13 for 86 last week with Eckler on the field against a decent Chiefs defense. I think this could be a good spot for Jackson if we get Eckler sitting.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the spots I was going to go to. It'll just be him and probably Joshua Kelly. Although when Eckler missed time in the past, they activated Roundtree and he ended up being a part. But I think that was Jackson hurt at that time? He might have been
may
hurt.
Have been when Jackson was still out early in the year. We can vet that.
But so Jackson, I think, is a great play. Texans are terrible against the run. Like I said, worse than the Chargers. So I think that could be a good spot.
Okay. And then if Brandon Cooks does play, I will definitely look at his receiving yards. Davis Mills loves this guy. 21 targets, 15 receptions, 103 yards over the last 2 weeks. With Mills at quarterback, Cooks averages 73 receiving yards per game. With Tyrod, only averages 58. And the Chargers do not rank well against opposing wide receiver 1. So Cooks does play. I think that's a good spot.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, moving right along here. Let's go up to the AFC East. Bills and the Patriots, rematch of week 13. Patriots are 2.5-point home favorites. Over under is 43.5. That game in the Blizzard in week 13 was won 14-10 by the Patriots. Winner of this game likely takes the AFC East. The weather is looking like 36 degrees and 10-mile-an-hour winds. So nothing too crazy, nothing like last time for sure. Cole Beasley is going to miss the game for the Bills. Manny Sanders is questionable, probably not going to play. And then on the Patriots, Damian Harris and Nelson Aguilar are both questionable as well. What do you have here? Do you have a play on this one?
Yeah, so right now I have the Bills in a teaser. I actually teased them with the Eagles last night, so I have that hanging out there, and I'm waiting on a 3 with the Bills. I don't really think you can make a case for either team in terms of diving into the numbers. I think these teams are fairly equal if you weigh everything out here. What I'm looking at is you're getting a 5-point swing here in a few weeks, basically, because the Patriots were 3-point underdogs a few weeks ago to the Bills. And now you're telling me they're 2.5-point favorites, and I get you're getting a home field and stuff here, but I don't know. You can make a case that you're doing a 5-point swing in just a few weeks, and I think the first matchup between these teams needs to be completely thrown out the window just because of the weather situation. I think that's still being factored into this line, and I don't think it should be. So I think the value here is with the Bills right now, but I'm going to wait to see if we can end up getting a 3. I don't know if it's going to pop up, but outside of that, I love the Bills and teasers right now.
I haven't decided what I'm going to do on this game. I just have this weird feeling that I think the Patriots just might be a better team and might win, but I don't really want to lay this many points. I feel like I should have taken them on the openers when it was like -1, -1.5. So
yeah, that's kind of my point. Like you can't, like, there's nothing you can say. All right, the Patriots are much better here. The Bills are much, like, they're even teams.
Yeah.
And do you agree with me saying like the Patriots are just 3-point underdogs, and now you're telling me they're 2.5-point favorites? That to me just doesn't add up. I don't know.
I mean, you flip home field. I don't think it's a huge overreaction, but I do think we got the Patriots -3. It'd be really tough not to take Buffalo.
Oh, you got to take Buffalo at 3.
Can I interest you in a live glitch?
What do we got?
Just found them. So it's kind of DraftKings. It's kind of a weird one, but this Eagles -3.5 game where it's juiced up to -275, you can actually still use the Eagles in teasers. So if you do a 7-point teaser, you can get them up to +3.5. I don't know if you would ever need them at +3.5. Like, it's kind of a weird one, but like, I mean, how does it ever lose? Like, it's impossible for it to lose.
It's weird, but I don't love teasing the 0, but it's such a weird. I don't know.
I mean, you're not necessarily. Yeah. I know you don't.
Yeah, it's such 0, a weird. Yeah, that's
like,
such a weird. I don't even consider that. Like
you're really. It's like a 13-point teaser essentially, because they should be -10.
All right,
you're getting the 3.5.
All right.
I don't know.
All right. I mean, I guess I'll do it.
I would try.
I don't know.
You do it with the Dolphins. Get the Dolphins up to 10. The Eagles up to 3.5.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Live glitch found here on the podcast. It'll be gone by the time you're listening. But
yeah.
All right. Any props for you in this game?
No.
I am going to be looking at Gabe Davis receiving yard. What are you laughing at?
No, sorry, I literally know the props you're going to say without ever even talking about them. I don't have a problem with it. I just knew you were going to say Gabe Davis. You're so predictable.
It's a good spot. It's not predictable. It's a good spot.
I know.
Back to my little spiel here. Gabe Davis has been cooking over the last 4 weeks. 2 for 47, 2 for 30-1 against New England, 5 for 43-1, 5 for 85-2. Those games were with Cole Beasley. Now you're going to remove Cole Beasley. Manny Sanders probably still going to be out. If you can get Davis in the mid-40s, get him at an anytime touchdown plus 240 or better. Davis actually has a team high 8 red zone targets over the last 3 weeks. Josh Allen seems to have a really good connection with him. And they'll definitely attempt a few deeper passes to Davis, so he could hit this in one play for sure. And last note, Devin Singletary played a season high 82% of snaps last week, and head coach Sean McDermott came out and declared him the team's #1 running back, and he ran for 86 yards last week. So if you can still get a number in the high 30s, maybe you look at Singletary.
I think that's the first time the Bills have had a #1 running back in like 3 years. It's just been
he'll be benched and Zach Moss will be on the field in 2 weeks. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
All right, ready to move on?
Yeah.
Let's go to the Rams and the Vikings. The Vikings are 3-point home underdogs. Over-under is 49. A little bit of a rest disadvantage here for the Rams on the road, coming off only 4 days rest based on their Tuesday game. We know the Vikings are, going to make even a game that like should have been a 2-score game. They still let the Bears score on the final play to make it a 1-score game.
And they couldn't kick the extra point to get the push, could they? They couldn't kick the extra point. Come on, Matt Nagy, take the points when they're there.
If you followed your own advice, you would have had 14.5 and not even been sweating. Taking them live.
I know, live's the play, but once it hit 7, I had to take it.
There was no reason to take it.
It's a good number. Bears should have been there. Whatever.
All right, this game. Do you have any play on the side or total here?
Yeah, I took the Vikings at +3. The Rams coming off a Tuesday game, now traveling to Minnesota. I think that's just kind of like an unprecedented spot because, I know it's only 1 day rest disadvantage, but it's such a funky situation that no team's used to being in. Against one of the league's worst pass defenses last night, the Rams were only able to muster up 20 points, and arguably, who knows what would have happened if that pass interference that got called. We could end up going to overtime in that game and they lose the game. And that's kind of one of the things you got to look at when you're looking at these lines. Like, don't just look at the outcome of these games. Look how it got there. If the Seahawks did end up scoring on that last drive, that pass interference was called and they end up winning in overtime, what's this line? The Vikings might be 1.5 point underdogs. This Rams team, Stafford's been, despite his stats, which look good, I think we can agree he's been pretty average and inconsistent this entire season. This team's a Cooper Kupp injury away from being completely irrelevant, in my opinion. I mean, the whole offense.
He's their whole team.
Yeah,
it's insane.
If he misses one quarter, they're basically done. Thielen was close to coming back this week, so I'm gonna guess he's back this week, and I think that's a huge boost for this Vikings offense. And Vikings are going to be playing with their backs against the wall for the rest of the season. They need to win out to have a chance at the playoffs. So I'm taking the Vikings here. We know it's going to be a tight game, and I honestly think this ends up closing around 2. So I think if you like the Vikings, take them at the 3 right now.
I like what you're saying. I have not gotten there yet with the Vikings. I'm close. I just haven't quite gotten there. My play in this game is going to be on the over. I took it at 49. There are still 49s out there. I think this game has all the elements of an over. I like getting this anywhere under the semi-key total number of 51. I think it's a good play. So even up to 50.5, you obviously get some, you get 27, 24, 28, 23, 30 to 21. 34-17. Those are all numbers that hit right on 51. So I think if you get under that, this is a good overplay. 2 pretty good quarterbacks, definitely top half of the league. Both of them certainly not afraid to take a deep shot. You have 2 of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp can break a touchdown at any point in the game. And you also have both these teams are number 6 and number 7 in the NFL in pace right now. So I think these are 2 up-tempo offenses. We're going to see a lot of plays. I think this game has all the makings of a nice overplay, and I am in at over 49.
All right.
Props for you.
I might be looking at Tyler Conklin yards if Thielen is back. I think with him back, Ramsey will be probably, paying more attention to Jefferson and Thielen. So I think it could open up a spot for Conklin. His yards usually aren't too high. They're usually right around 30.
Okay. I don't hate it. I don't think I have any props in this one. This is going to be another game where everyone on earth plays Justin Jefferson's over, and then he comes like 40 yards short.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like 2 weeks in a row in prime time. Like everyone on earth is like, Justin Jefferson should be lined at 200 yards.
Well, because it's prime time, so everyone's just like itching to get some action. So everyone just blindly bets overs of star players.
Yeah, crazy. All right, let's move on. AFC North. Baltimore Ravens against Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are 2.5-point home favorites. Still have not seen a 3 appear, although I've been checking feverishly. Over under is 44.5. No news on Lamar Jackson. It sounded kind of optimistic yesterday, and then today he's not at practice. So who knows if it's going to be him or Tyler Huntley again. Joe Mixon is a little bit banged up for the Bengals, but it sounds like he's still going to play. The Bengals did beat the pants off the Ravens back in week 7, a 41-17 win in which Jamar Chase had over 200 receiving yards. And the Ravens cornerback situation has certainly not gotten any better since then. So not something that I love to hear as a Ravens backer. But for me here, I'm looking at ways to play the Ravens. I like them in teasers. I don't mind playing their money line at plus 125. Honestly, my ideal scenario here is Lamar Jackson gets rolled out. We get Ravens plus 3.5 or plus 4, and we take it with Tyler Huntley. I think at this point, Tyler Huntley is not going to say he's Lamar Jackson, but like he's a very competent quarterback right now than Lamar with an injury. So if this gets to 3 or over 3 with Huntley, love the Ravens. If it stays at 2.5 and Lamar plays, I'll just take them on the money line probably and take them at teasers. What do you have?
Yeah, definitely don't buy into the Ravens now because regardless if Lamar's in or not, I think there's going to be some type of movement here. So
no, if Lamar's in, you want them now because it'll probably go down to 1.5 or 1.
Well, it's already at 1.5 actually on FanDuel. It was 1.5 before we started recording. It was down to 1.5. But I think this is a team you can live bet. The Ravens are a team that's been falling behind a lot recently, and they battle their way back. So, I think you could end up getting them easily over a touchdown, maybe close to 10.5 live. So I might be looking to get that spot if it doesn't get over the 3.5, because I probably would buy into the Ravens at 3.5 pregame. Obviously, like you said, the secondary is a massive concern here. Bengals were really the only team to blow out the Ravens this season. Other than that, they tend to play pretty close games. They're almost like the Vikings. I think there's only been maybe 2-3 non-one score games the Ravens have played all year. So I think over 3.5 or over 3 has value for the Ravens, and then look to get them live would be my play.
And we've seen some variance the other way. All we talked about was how the Ravens have been winning all these 1-score games. Now every time it's a 1-score game, they go for 2 and don't get it.
Yeah, so if that's the case, just keep taking
down
the
to
points.
flip back the other way.
You don't have to sweat overtime
or
that
take
way,
the points. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want that if you have plus 2.5 for sure. Overtime's not your friend. Props for you in this one. We're going to be going right back to Mark Andrews.
I mean, I gotta imagine it's going to be. It
was that a yes?
Well, if it was a 4.5 last week, and he had 10 receptions. This is if Huntley plays. I'm talking if Huntley
back to
plays.
back. He also had 10 catches the week before. And
so you got to think it's going to be 6.5.
No, it's not. It's going to be 5.5 at worst.
Back-to-back 10-catch games. I think they throw a 6.5 at plus money on the over, I think is what you get.
No way.
All right. I just completely disagree. You can't throw a 5.5 out there. It would get absolutely smashed. Yeah. So yes, 5.
It got smashed.
If you think it's going to be 5.5, I would absolutely smash a 5.5.
Okay. Or you just go to yards in the low 60s or high 50s.
Yeah, you could do that.
His yards were only like 50.5 last week or something insane.
And this was a late ad. I guess
it sucks.
We didn't get it on the prop
so
sheet.
Late.
We were waiting on the Huntley news, and then I ended up seeing it. It was minus 150 or 130, whatever it was, for over 4.5 receptions. So ended up not even being close to losing. But yeah, so Andrews will look, but I think it's going to be 6.5, and I don't know. I maybe plus money you still take over 6.5 with Huntley.
Nah, I just take the yards at that point.
All right.
I mean, he gets yards down. It's not like he's just getting these catches around the line of scrimmage. Like, they'll throw him bombs 30 yards down the field. I don't care. And the Bengals actually ranked 26th against tight ends, so good matchup as well. I wouldn't touch any of the Bengals wide receivers. I can't figure this out. No,
you can't figure them out.
They're all good receivers, but literally, you saw Jamar Chase last week, 1 catch. T. Higgins did nothing, and then Tyler Boyd caught like a 75-yard pass. Just like you have no idea on a week-to-week who's going to do anything.
Well, last week the Bengals had like 120 passing yards, to be fair. Yeah, but yeah, even when Burrow does have a huge game, you still don't know.
Bogged down. All right, moving on here. Chicago Bears against the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are 6.5-point home favorites. The over-under is 44. There's 34 degrees on the forecast, 55% chance of rain. This game sucks. Both these teams suck. Both these teams have major quit potential. They're both out of the playoffs. Easy pass for me.
Easy pass. Don't even waste our time.
Wouldn't even look at the props. Not a single player
nothing
could interest me in this game.
No, and Pete Carroll. There was a statement I just got that said Russell Wilson. Someone fell on Russell Wilson towards the end of the game. Didn't say an injury. He just said it could impact Sunday, but there's no chance he doesn't play. That was the quote.
What?
Let me pull it up. I'll tell you the tweet it was.
It could impact Sunday, but there's no chance he doesn't play. What is that even? So he's hurt?
Pete Carroll says Russell Wilson got landed on at the end of one of his dropbacks. At the end of one of his dropbacks last night versus the Rams, says it may be a factor for Sunday against Chicago, but there is no way Wilson is not playing. That was from one of the beat reporters for Seattle.
Boy, Pete Carroll's a gem.
So
Keep this guy around.
So do with that what you want.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if that helps you or what. But that's the report on Russell Wilson right now.
All right, then. That's something. Ready to move on?
Please.
All right, we spent enough time on that disgusting game. Let's go to the AFC West. Broncos and the Raiders. Raiders are 1-point home favorites. Over under is 41.5. This one is a winner go home. Loser will be eliminated from AFC playoff contention, more or less. Drew Lock definitely going to be the starter for the Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater is out. Darren Waller has been questionable for like 6 weeks in a row. So who the heck knows if he's going to play. The Raiders did win 34-24 when these teams played back in week 6. But that was a game where Henry Ruggs was the leading wide receiver and Teddy Bridgewater was starting for the Broncos. So not sure how much we can take from that. I took the Raiders here on the money line. It's essentially a pick 'em. It's really hard to make a strong case for either of these teams, if I'm being honest. Like, they're pretty evenly matched, but you're giving me the Raiders at home. I think Derek Carr is a significantly better quarterback than Drew Lock. So if this comes down to a close game, I'd much rather have Carr on my team than Drew Lock. So I grabbed the Raiders at a pick 'em. It's not like my favorite bet of the week. I just think it should be probably -2.5. So a -1, I think there's some value on the Raiders.
Yeah, see, I was leaning the Broncos. And, I like them in this matchup, but I just couldn't find anything to push me over the edge to where I could overlook Drew Lock being quarterback, because he's not a guy that's going to come in there and just manage the game and stuff like Bridgewater can do. He's a guy that's going to take risks and can easily have some turnovers that I don't think you can afford in this matchup. I think it's going to be an ugly game that, 1 or 2 turnovers can end up deciding this game. So I ended up passing this game.
Okay. Would you look at any props here?
No, I don't have anything for this game.
Yeah, I don't think I could do Hunter Renfrow receptions again.
I feel like there's a lot of last week too. I feel like this is more of a wait and see when the props come up, see what lines come out. I don't have a ton of spots I'm like waiting on, so it's going to be more of a wait till all the lines come out, and then we'll probably have another larger prop sheet if we, things that were mentioned on the podcast specifically.
Yes, for sure. All right, let's keep it on rolling. Pittsburgh Steelers against Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 7.5-point home favorites. Over under is 44. This one opened at 10 and has been dropping ever since because the Chiefs have a little bit of a COVID situation going on. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Harrison Butker, a couple other guys on the Chiefs team, all on the COVID list. No official status on anyone who's going to be available, who's going to be back for Sunday, who's going to be out. This game's kind of tough. Both these teams got wins last week. I'm not sure they necessarily deserve them. They were probably outplayed to some degree by the opponent. So it's tough to really say that either team is overvalued or undervalued. Do you have any Mike Tomlin trend for us that can help us break the tie here? Any trend of the week for you?
No. So it's a Mike Tomlin underdog spot. So you can go back to every trend I mention every week. But at the same time, I told myself going this week, I said, there's no way I'm betting the Steelers. But, when this COVID news breaks, when you just hear these outbreaks, obviously Tyreek Hill's name was mentioned. I think you just take the number because there's going to be line movement. And then also you don't know who else is going to pop up. Tyreek Hill has it. Who knows if Patrick Mahomes has it. So, I took the 10. It's now down to 7. So we're going to get good closing line value. But, I wouldn't buy into the Steelers at this point because I think, honestly, the Chiefs, before the COVID news, I think had a chance to cover this number at 10. But the universe has a weird way of working. They said you're not getting away without betting the Steelers this week. So Steelers plus 10 is where I'm at. Right now, it's just a pass for me.
I'm with you. I took the Steelers at 10 too. So excited to be on the Steelers this week. Will you consider coming back on the Chiefs if they get some guys back?
Well, if they get guys back, like if I get someone like Tyreek Hill's playing, I'll immediately throw the Chiefs in the teaser.
That's a good point. That's a good way to middle it. So then you basically
create. Yeah, you could do that. You could do that
win
now.
by 2-9 and you middle it.
Yeah, so you could do that now if you want or wait. I'm sure it's only
probably wait.
It's only Wednesday, so I would probably wait a couple of days and see what else comes out.
Yeah, God forbid Mahomes on the list or something.
Exactly.
Like you don't want to be stuck with that.
Exactly. So yeah.
Any prop looks for you? It's obviously tough with the Chiefs. We don't really exactly know who's going to be playing, and the Steelers, they're a pretty hard team to figure out on offense. Honestly, they didn't even have many yards last week. Najee couldn't do anything. Deontay Johnson's good, but his numbers are already reflect that he's good. Like it's tough.
Yeah, when there's only 150 yards of offense to go around, it's pretty tough to bet any props on the team. So yeah, nothing here for me.
All right. Maybe we look at a Steelers field goal prop if Harrison Butker is going to be out.
Could do that. I don't think it'll be a Panthers situation. I think they will. Yeah. I think they'll have someone in line to kick, not have PJ Walker kicking field goals pregame.
That was a good time. All right, let's keep it moving. NFC East footballs and the Cowboys. This one is our Sunday night football game. Cowboys are 10.5-point home favorites. Over under is 47.5. This is a rematch of a few weeks ago where the Cowboys won 27-20. Footballs on a little bit of a rest disadvantage here. Road game on a short week. This one's tough. This one's really tough. This Cowboys offense sucks. I know we said it last week, but putting up 21 points against a pathetic Giants team while the defense forced 4 turnovers and they only outgained the Giants 328 to 302 in terms of total yards. They were never in danger of losing the game, but there's no explosiveness to this offense. Would you like to guess the longest offensive play that the Cowboys had last week against the Giants?
15 yards.
19 yards. Wow. They went an entire game without having a single play of 20 yards with all the talent in the world. We like to bring it up every single week. I think this number is too high. We saw these teams play a few weeks ago and the Cowboys were, I think, 5.5 or 6. So now it's already up over 7, over 8, over 10. I think it's a little crazy, but the footballs are one of these teams that we mentioned off the top. They have quit potential. I wouldn't be surprised if they sat Antonio Gibson down now that they're kind of out of the playoff mix, let him get healthy. McLaurin's been banged up. We're not officially sure if Heineke or Kyle Allen's going to be back. So I think this one is, I would never take the Cowboys here, but I don't think that I have enough conviction to take the footballs with all the question marks they have.
Yeah, I think you monitor this situation for Washington here. And depending on who they get back, I think, if it holds at 10 and a half, I would love the footballs here. It's a short week, but you're getting guys back who didn't play. They had a chance at the end of that game a couple weeks ago to cover it, but it was Kyle Allen in there. And like you said, this Dallas offense, you just can't trust them right now. I mean, you're getting 4 turnovers and only putting up 21 points. How long can you rely on this defense to carry them, let alone cover a big spread like this? So I really do think the value here is with Washington. And depending on who they get back here, if I can get a double-digit spread, I will absolutely take Washington.
You're not worried about the quit potential at all? Or is it just too many points that kind of outweighs it?
That divisional game, like I said, you're getting guys back who didn't play. Heineke doesn't strike me as a guy like it's not like a Russell Wilson who goes to the playoffs every single year and like a Seahawks team like that who goes to the playoffs every year and is now out of the race. I think
Heineke's playing for a start.
Exactly. So I think this team has some more fight in them.
Prop looks for you. Amari Cooper under 33.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I don't know what you can do right now because with this Dallas offense besides lean under. So
give me another Zeke under. It's hit like 4 weeks in a row now. If we keep getting this high 70s rushing plus receiving yards, last week he had 19 total touches, 72 total yards. Another under for Zeke.
All right,
let's move on to Monday Night Football. Miami Dolphins against New Orleans Saints. Saints are 3-point home favorites. Over under is 38.5. Dolphins have now won 6 straight games, and both these teams basically need to win out. They are still alive in the playoff race, but they are in desperate need of wins. So I'm expecting Jalen Waddle is going to be back off the COVID list for the Dolphins. I believe that actually was officially announced. We should definitely be back. No word on these Saints tackles. They've been questionable for like 6 straight weeks, so who knows? Do you have a play here? Side or total?
How many wins do the Dolphins have right now? 7. All right. So I was counting my Dolphins win total under as a win a few, weeks ago.
I was counting as a loss. Yeah.
So yeah, I need them to lose 1 more game. So, all right. I just wanted to update that real quick. I don't have a play right now on this. I would probably lean the Dolphins at a 3.5, but it's scary for me because for some reason I still don't trust this team.
Maybe after 10 straight wins, you'll buy it.
Maybe after 10 I will. I still think this Saints defense is good enough to hold the Dolphins offense in check, and I think they'll be able to run the ball against the Dolphins as well.
I disagree. I'm all over the Dolphins here. I think this is a really good matchup for the Dolphins offense. The Saints run defense is the strength of their defense. Guess what? The Dolphins can't run the ball. They are, I think, 7th lowest rush rate in the entire league. Outside of that crazy, weird Duke Johnson performance last week, this is not a team that's ran the ball all season. I think this is a smash matchup for Jalen Waddle. You're probably going to get Lattimore on Devontae Parker based on how they kind of match up. I think Waddle's going to crush him out of the slot. I think that he is, they're just not going to have an answer for him. And then on the Saints side, they haven't been able to put up a ton of points on offense. You saw them last week. They put up 9 points against the Bucs. Taysom Hill just, I don't think that he can put up enough points here. I think that anything at 3 or over 3 with the Dolphins is a good play here. And also took their team total over 16.5, over 1.5 touchdowns, same kind of thing. They're around minus 135, minus 140. I think the Dolphins can get to 20 to 24 points here and cover the spread. And I think they are live to win the game outright.
Yeah, I'll probably get there with the Dolphins. Props wise, you took the one out of my mouth. Jalen Waddle, I think Lattimore matches up perfectly with Parker on the outside, should be able to hold him in check. And it's just going to be all Waddle from there. And then Lord help me, if we even get a line posted for Duke Johnson, I'll take the under.
You're not sold on him being the running back?
No.
I don't know what to think on this backfield. I don't know if they go back to Gaskin or if they just ride Duke. I just don't even. Look, it's not a great matchup either way. Yeah.
You said it. They're terrible at running the ball. I'm not. It was a one fluke game against a terrible defense. I'm not. Give me something in the 40s with Duke Johnson. I'll take the under.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I definitely had Jalen Waddle, wrote that down. If we get 5.5 receptions, mid-60s receiving yards, he's running 46% of his routes this season from the slot. And we just saw Chris Godwin 6 for 49 in like less than a quarter against this team. And CeeDee Lamb in the same matchup 2 weeks earlier went 7 for 89. So those are kind of similar molded receivers to Waddle. And then Taysom Hill rush attempts. If we get another 8.5, I have no problem going back to that. He has 11 rush attempts in 3 straight games. And like we said, hit for us last week. So good spot. All right, that'll wrap up our game-by-game breakdown. Let's close it off here with some fun little segments here. Let's start it off with our long shots of the week. What do you got?
All right, you pretty much spoiled mine earlier, but I'm going with James Robinson. I'm going to go with 75 yards, a touchdown, and a Jaguars win. 75 will probably be a little below his rushing total, but pair that with the touchdown and the Jaguars win, you should still get, plus 300 or better odds.
Okay. I am going to do a similar play here. We're going to do an SGP with an underdog. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go with Mark Andrews over receiving yards. We'll call it like to 63.5, whatever his receiving yards are at. If it's in the low 60s,
you can, you can do the 60 plus on FanDuel too, the alternate line.
Yeah, that's fine. Do that, and we'll take the Ravens money line as well. Right now, that's around plus 120, plus 125. I'm gonna wait on that. So who's playing quarterback? You may get that up money line up to like plus 140 if it's Huntley. But yeah, gonna parlay those two together, and that'll be my long shot of the week.
All right.
Weird smile you just gave me. All right, favorite bets of the week. Go ahead. I will give it to you first.
All right. I was trying to find a spread here, but there just wasn't any spreads I was absolutely in love with. So I am going to hand out a Christmas present to all our listeners and do a Christmas Day teaser with the Green Bay Packers and Indianapolis Colts. There are still, make sure you're getting a 1.5 with the Colts. We do not want to tease to 7. We want to tease through the 7. So 1.5 tease to 7.5, Packers from 7.5 down to 1.5. Christmas teaser, Packers Colts.
All right. The Christmas teaser special. I like it. My favorite bet of the week. I'm going to go to that Monday Night Football game. Going to have to sweat this one out all weekend. Give me the Miami Dolphins. I grabbed it at plus 3.5. Also totally fine with plus 3. I will be adding more at plus 3. Like I said, I think this is a good matchup for the Dolphins to put up points. Strength of the Saints run defense. Strength of the Saints defense is the run defense. Jalen Waddle's going to have a big game. Taysom Hill has not been great. They scored 9 points against the Bucs, 17 against the Cowboys, and that included a 75-yard garbage time touchdown with 30 seconds left. And they only put up 6 points against the Bills. So I can't see the Saints putting up more than maybe 17 to 20 points here. And I think the Dolphins can do more than enough to cover this plus 3. So yeah, Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Count me in.
All right.
All right. Would we like to make a chalk donkey parlay? There are a bunch of big favorites. Let's see if we can find one that we like. If not, we will pass.
All right.
We like the Packers.
I like the Packers, yes.
Chargers.
Chargers and Eagles.
That gets us to minus 114 on DraftKings.
Minus 110 on FanDuel.
You want to do that?
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Chalk Donkey Parlay of the week. Packers, Chargers, Eagles, money line. Minus 110 on FanDuel.
Beautiful.
All right. Anything left to say?
Nope.
Final words from you?
Nope.
All right. Merry Christmas and all that good stuff to everyone out there. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, fantastic holidays. See if we can keep these bets rolling and give everyone some nice Christmas presents with some winning bets and the winning Christmas teaser from Rue is his favorite bet of the week.
Yes.
Any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod. DMs are always open. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Smash the like button on YouTube. Link to the YouTube video will be in the description of this podcast and also on our Twitter page. From Jeff and Rue, we are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast because every time you bet with us, you bet right.